And I got another story to tell you, and it actually is something I've dealt with and deal with. And it's into the farming end. But I got to read you a little verse here. It's in Luke 12. And let me read this to you. It's 13, Luke 12:13 on. It talks about the parable of a rich fool. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." And he told them his parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. I'll say to myself, you have plenty of goods, things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich towards God." Well, I read that verse when I was trying to figure out something to do on this. And that's how I come to the farming end of it, which I farm too. And this will sound like I kind of bash farmers just a little bit, but I don't mean that all of them are like this. I don't know how many people have noticed anymore of some of the farmers and how big they are. Have you noticed any big farmers? Well, years ago when I was growing up, there wasn't any big farmers. There was more farmers that farmed their own ground and their family grounds. But nowadays, it's just like big business in farming. There's, maybe one farmer that farms maybe 8 to 10 of what used to be farms. I kind of sit back because I seen it the way it used to be, and I see it how it is now, and I just keep thinking, boy, they just can't get enough. They just got to have more all the time. Well, there used to be a kind of an unsaid code between farmers. And I remember it was just something you always knew to do. If I had this rented ground right here, I rented it off of a landlord, and this farmer over here, he'd love to have this farm, but I'm already renting it. So years ago, he might talk to the landlord and say, "Hey, if Kevin ever decides he doesn't want that, or you ever want to change renters, I'd be interested." That's about as far as it used to go. Not nowadays. It's a totally different game now. What I want to tell you, I want to show you how the 7 deadly sins play into farming. And it plays into big business. It plays into a lot of things, but this is what I deal with, and this is what I see a lot in the farming industry. We'll start off with pride. Well, with pride, that farmer's, if he's accumulated a lot, he's got a big farm, he says, "Look how much I have. Look at all this. Look what I've got. I got these big barns, I got these big tractors, I got all this land." There's that I again. But he's proud of it. He's got a lot of pride, and he thinks he's accomplished it all. Then envy. Envy can play into the farming industry a lot too. A farmer over there goes down the road and he goes by his neighbors, his competition. And he sees that he got a new combine. He's like, boy, look at that. Look what he got. I got to have me one too. I got to get me one, but I got to get a better one. Yeah, I got to get a bigger and better one. So I'm going to stand out a little bit more. But that's envy. And that happens. And that happens with business and everything else. But it's funny because I've experienced a lot of this in the farming end of it. I've even heard different ones say things. Hey, did you see his combine? Well, I've been looking at one too, but it's always bigger. It's always better. Or it's always newer. The next thing is gluttony. And you're probably thinking, well, how in the world does gluttony play into that, into the farming? Well, they eat a lot. Oh, I'm sure they might. But how that plays into is I can't ever get enough. I can't get enough. See, gluttony is actually not knowing when to stop. It's just going overboard. You just can't stop. Wrath. That's a big one in farming now. It's huge. It's something that I've even been in the middle of. And it's it's just like I told you about the rented ground. Used to, the way people was, they respected their neighbors. They wouldn't step on your toes. They wouldn't cross a line. It's an invisible line, but it just wasn't right to do because that's the way it used to be. Nowadays, it's nothing like that. It's cutthroat, just like a lot of big business. It's all cutthroat. It's about me, what I want to do and where I want to go and how much I want. Well, the wrath is if that farmer over there sees I'm renting this farm here and the landlord's even happy with me. They're happy, I'm happy, we're all happy. But this farmer wants that ground because it's close to him. He's like, I want that farm now. So what happens now is they go to the landlord and they'll do anything to get it. They may say, well, I've seen letters actually sent out by some farmers describing what they can do for that landlord. And one of them is Oral McCall, actually. Let me read one the guy sent him. It's like, I'm financially sound. I have a lot of money. I have really nice equipment. I've got plenty of time. I can do that job probably better than the ones doing it now. It's like, really? That's what you get now. It's cutthroat. There's wrath. They don't care. If that doesn't work, though, which it actually didn't work with Oral McCall, because I still ended up with that ground. He goes, I don't need that. It's like, oh, that's great. Good, because I didn't want to lose it. What they'll do next, since they're hooked up with the government money and all the subsidies and everything, and some of these big farmers, they get a lot of help. They've got a lot more money. So what they'll do is, the same greed and everything, they'll say, well, I can pay more than he can pay. And he knows he can. He knows probably about what I could pay, so they offer more. And usually, that's where it kind of a bad thing, because that kind of falls back on the landlord. They're like, okay, I want more money. So next thing you know, they lose it. Which you're thinking, Are you just saying these things? Well, it actually happened to me this year. It was kind of funny. I had a little 12-acre patch that I farmed for a lady. And I had it taken away from me this year by a guy that farms probably 2,000 acres. What do you need that for? I mean, what good's that going to do you? So I just didn't understand that at all. Sloth is another one of the 7 deadly sins that actually play into the farming end of it. And you're thinking, well, I don't think so. I always heard these farmers, and a lot of them are. But the way this big business and big farming is going back to actually the company I work for, the owner. The more they made, the more they played. They enjoyed it. And what they did, they had all their little underpaid workers doing their jobs for them. That's what they did. All these little guys are out here doing their jobs. They're running the show, and they're taking over and enjoying the fruits of their labor, what they're doing. So they get lazy in their responsibilities. Lust actually plays into the farming end too. And you're thinking, well, how in the world's that? I mean, a lot of us think about sexual stuff, with lust. Well, and it could. I don't know about that part. But lust can be in a lot of different ways, a lot of different things. I mean, you can lust over a lot of things. Some farmers, might drive down the road and see a brand new tractor. Shiny. They're thinking, boy, that's shiny. That's pretty. That's new. His ain't new, but it's got everything on it. I gotta have that. So he keeps driving by it over and over, and it's like, boy, that's nice. Actually, Vicky can probably say, well, you've done that. Now, wait a minute. I don't have a brand new tractor, though. Mine are all as old as I am about. So, but I have drove by something over and over. Like, boy, I'd like to have that. I'd like to have it. She just stop. See, I don't stop and look. I just drive by it. These guys actually stop and drive it, and they're going to buy it. But the thing about it, it goes back to lust. The other night for our evening service, Pastor Kevin did the message on lust, and Maurice Ballard was sitting here, Maurice and Amy. And it got to the point he's talking about, lusting over something, and you keep looking at it. Well, Maurice just kind of popped up and he said, well, the old saying is, he said, you look at something long enough, you're going to end up buying it. And I thought, what? True. That's kind of true. I don't always buy it. A lot of times I try my best to talk myself out of it because I'm, as my buddy Mitch says, I'm tight. I don't like to spend a lot of money a lot of times. I'll do without it a lot of times. But sometimes if you look at it long enough, it'll get me. But, some farmers, they can fall to these things, not all of them. It's just no different than a lot of the business owners. Not all the business owners are like that. There's good ones out there. There's ones that actually can keep on track. But the thing is, some of these farmers, they get so big and they get power. And the first thing is they're thinking is, look at me. I'm somebody. I'm somebody. Drive by their big farm. They have a sign out there that's got their names on it. Because they're thinking, people know my name. Well, yeah, they do. You put it on a big sign right out in front of your house. And you put it on your trucks and your tractors and your combines. Like, yeah, everybody knows who you are. So, but they're proud of that. It's a pride thing. But, as you build your empire, you can consume yourself. That's the whole thing. We lose track. We lose track of what really matters in our life. That's the whole thing about it. We're called to do something. Well, it's not that. We lose track of that too. In Isaiah 5:8, I'll read you a little thing there. It's short. It says, "Woe to you who add house to house and join field to field till no space is left, and you live alone in the land." I know of a couple big farmers that actually, as they got bigger and bigger and bigger, it's just like they lost control. They bought ground here, they bought ground here, they bought houses that was on it. And it was actually about like this. They started putting them together. It was just like they just kept getting bigger and bigger and putting them together. It all connected. Next thing you know, they was by themselves. There was nothing left. I believe these 7 deadly sins are Satan's biggest hold on us that he's got. I think they was wrote up by him because they work good. They really work good in this world. And he's probably thinking, boy, I'm just going to throw these 7 out there and I guarantee you I'm going to catch some people. But the last thing I want to leave you with, last couple of things, is when we don't include God in our worldly endeavors and our life, these 7 deadly sins can and definitely will creep in on us. I run on simplicity. I try to. Complications doesn't work in my life very well. I don't like them. So you just want to do it right. That's the whole thing. It's real simple. And I got it after I got thinking about it. Dad said, I just want to do it right. So everything works in the end. And the easiest way to do that is always keep God in your life first. That's where he belongs, not down here. Keep him in your life first and foremost. And believe it or not, the rest is going to fall into place. Amen. It will. But it'll be at due time. It won't be at our time. And that's where we could go in a whole nother direction with patience. But anyway, that's what I wanted to leave you with.